What do you think parents can do to help ensure that their children get the kind of education that they deserve? The Bible says that Hosea 4 and verse 6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. At Isaiah 5:13, the Bible says, my people have gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. At Genesis 1:27, the Bible says, God created man in his own image. The problem is that intentional distractions have prevented many people from realizing what this really means. God is a knowledgeable God. We, being made in the image of God, should be knowledgeable as well. We have to do as God does. We have to choose to be knowledgeable. We have to choose to focus on things that will be beneficial to us. We have to understand that knowledge is not going to be given to us. We have to pursue it and get it so that we can benefit our children. One of a parent's priorities should be to make time to prepare themselves to be able to deal with their children's homework. And take time to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Prioritize it. Your child's education is and should be thought of as being extremely important. So important that you do not play with it. You see to it that your child learns. Stop with the excuses already. Face the facts. Who's afraid of the big bad truth? The truth is that the powers that be have and will continue to make decisions regarding the education issue that will keep them in power and keep us under control. A famous activist once said, you've been tricked, hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray. Now I know that there are close to 90 or more scriptures that speak to teaching your children, but many parents have been tricked into neglecting their own education, which prevents them from being able to follow the directive given by God to train up your children. We cannot train our children in areas that we don't understand ourselves. This is the very reason that we must come to realize that we have to begin to prioritize our time so that we have time to learn and to work with our children. It's not too late. It's never too late. Another thing, I hear a lot of excuses. I'm too old to learn that stuff. Wrong. Again, I say what the Bible says. You are made in the image of a knowledgeable God, whose spirit you are connected to. And you have the power to learn anything you choose to learn at almost any age. All you have to do is choose to learn. Choose to spend some of your time learning. Now, there are 62 schools on the chopping block in our city. Some are to be closed permanently, while others are to be renamed and restaffed. Now, this is going to create a negative impact on the education of thousands of students. Many parents are furious, but the big bad truth of the matter is that many parents don't seem to realize that they are in part responsible for the poor performance of our schools and their children. When the scriptures were written, there were no schools. Parents had the responsibility of teaching their children themselves. The way things have changed, it seems like parents think that they have somehow been relieved of that responsibility. The big bad truth is that too many parents have failed at being responsible for their children's education and offer all kinds of excuses for not fulfilling their natural obligation. So far, they just don't get it. They've been bamboozled. The fact is that from the time a child is born until he reaches the age of independence, he or she, parents are responsible for their development and their education. How did so many people lose sight of this fact is beyond me. One of the major causes is that for one reason or another, too many people have become mentally and spiritually lazy. And a lazy-minded person would rather remain ignorant to things that they should know rather than to spend the energy that learning requires. Folks don't realize that they have been hoodwinked into thinking that Dancing with the Stars, Desperate Housewives, sports games, going to the gym, going to the club, and just hanging out are more important than learning. They're much more fun, I grant you, but certainly not more important than learning. I hear all kinds of excuses as to why folks resist learning. I don't like that subject, or that's boring, or I don't need to know that stuff. That's too hard for me. I'm not good at math. E-I-E-I-O. Unfortunately, the excuses prevail and the problems persist. One of the main problems is that there exists a generation of undereducated parents. Not our fault, but our problem. That's not a pretty statement, but it is the big bad truth. But I don't just want to enumerate problems, I also want to offer some solutions. If we can agree that there is definitely a problem with education in our society and that something needs to be done about it, then we can agree that we need a plan to address the problem and begin to make a difference. One thing that we can all do, and we should all do, is to take the time to revisit and memorize the 8 parts of speech and their functions, and take a refresher course in mathematics. English and mathematics are the 2 most important subjects on the planet, and we should all know them well. Now, learning the 8 parts of speech will be a huge step towards helping to solve the education problem. At this point, you may not know how important this endeavor can be, but I promise you, if you do it, it will be of major benefit to you for the rest of your life. And if you're a parent with children in school, it will allow you to be much more effective in carrying out your God-given responsibility of training up your children. It's not just the responsibility of the politicians or the schools. They're our children, our responsibility. Get involved. Use the internet, the information superhighway, and it really is just that. A resource of information on just about anything. I mean anything. As an educator, I use it quite a bit. There's an absolutely excellent website called thekhanacademy.org. This site will provide you with excellent instruction in all levels of mathematics, starting from 1 and 1 and going all the way to calculus. It has short instructional videos, user-friendly videos, meaning they're easy to understand. You can play them over and over, just replay them until you master a subject area and then move on to the next. Having access to the internet is like having a scholarship to go to college, free college. If you have children in school, or if you don't have children in school, I urge you to take time to visit khanacademy.org, Khan academy.org. There is an enormous amount of instruction and training available on the internet for free. I mean, MIT offers 400 free courses. So really, there should be no reason why folks don't take advantage of the opportunity to obtain free knowledge. See, one Republican presidential candidate says that if he's elected, he intends to do away with public education. Now, for us using our God-given knowledge to choose to resist learning and be ignorant does not please God and does not help us to be able to solve the problems that exist in our lives. Choose to learn. Renew your mind. Do you know the 8 parts of speech and their functions? If not, you owe it to yourself, your family, and God to get it. Get it. The 8 parts of speech and their functions. End of story.